Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Green Team spoiler episodes for Malazan. It's Hurin and me, joined by Janath as a boy now. He is caught up, he has read all of Karkanos and more ice books than I have. Welcome to the party, Janath.
I'm kind of sad that we can't make fun of you anymore behind your back on these episodes.
Yeah, I'm learning about that as I go through the spoiler episodes. I expected it, though. I fully expected it.
What kind of things did we rib you for other than crying about our poor, what was his name? Damn, the Talani Mas.
The Talani Mas, yeah, that was the main one so far. And then you had a couple things to say about Panda. I forget what they were, but they're usually like, wow, she's catching so much more than I did when I read it.
Yeah.
It was definitely like that in Gardens.
And that was like the fourth time I had read Dead House Gates too, and I still just did not catch it. Because I'm like following the tone of the scene. I'm not like looking for tricks, you know.
Yeah, we see what we want to see.
Hey, if they tricked us to make us feel emotions, I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not real.
Right?
That's what a story is, right? We didn't do an episode for Bonehunters, so this is kind of the episode for Bonehunters as well.
And Midnight Tides. Yeah, that was just... We didn't really talk about Midnight Tides.
Yeah, we had AP on. We talk about AP stuff.
And yeah, it was fun, and it was a cool conversation, but like it wasn't about Midnight Tides. It was just AP, I don't know. I forgot what we talked about, but it was mostly rambling.
Was Midnight Tides like over a year ago at this point? I don't remember it hardly.
Yeah, I think it was.
No, it wasn't that long.
We delayed the episode with AP very long.
Yeah,
I know. And we covered 2 books last year, so I think
could be. Yep, we need to read these
years
faster.
ago. Yeah, exactly. I want to do my periodic sin check-in. I think this is probably the book where she kind of gets abandoned by people. I think I might be dissatisfied with the transition from Bonehunters to Reaper's Gale sin, because as of Reaper's Gale, people are already way too scared to talk to her at all, and they're kind of just talking about how she's very scary now and she's a completely different person. But we don't actually see the transition from lonely, scared child sin to actually scary child sin, and we especially don't see the evolution of the relationships between them.
Has her brother died yet?
No.
Okay.
He just remarked about how he's sad that... Okay, I don't remember him dying, but he did remark about how she scares him now and he doesn't really talk to her.
I think, okay, I remember that. I don't really have much thoughts about sin. You're the big sin guy here.
Yeah. There's one Redditor who is one of the guys on Smiley's podcast. Smiley's time.
Shout out Smiley's.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very good.
It is,
and
it's really good.
Those are some good sin essays that I think he has written. So maybe I'll share them some point. You guys can read them and finally understand what a tragic character she is.
I mean, she's a tragic character. I just what I remember of Sin from Reaper's Gale is just like what you said. People just talk about how scary she is, and then how powerful she is, and then she's just being used for all of her magic, and that's about it. Like I don't even remember much of her, because in what's the next book? Dust of Dreams
that she's in.
Yeah. She and Grub. It's so early. Grub are really good friends, and they're talking about how they've been friends forever and whatever. And I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and then she goes off the deep end in Crippled God, which honestly, she has a justified fall considering how she's treated.
She was pretty on the deep end in Dust of Dreams too. I mean, when they're the things that she was saying when they were traveling the Ikarium's warrens was disturbing.
She's a very neglected trauma victim, that's for sure.
Very much so. Okay, I remember people talking about Sin in context of her finding people in their beds at night and then being like, that's weird. We're not going to let people use her.
Yeah, exactly. It's Masan Gilani says that. And it seems
thirsty just think about her.
Don't we all? That dump truck that she has. People always say that they don't get why everyone in the Bonehunters doesn't desert, I think it's mostly Masan Gilani's ass. You know?
Magic. Okay, well, I will bring up some notes that I have. Mostly, from Midnight Tides. Twilight has been introduced a lot earlier than I thought she was. She didn't really pay much. I shouldn't say pay much attention to the story. She wasn't involved very much in the story, but it's surprising to see her introduced so early.
She really stuck out at me in my first Midnight Tides read, and I don't know why, but I guess I think I just really like the name Twilight. So she was introduced exactly when I thought she was being introduced, but she had more to do, which is still not very much.
Ugh, I just burped. Keeping that in. And then we got a lot of what's that thing? It's so early. So when they went to the refugium, Feather Witch and Udinas, they see the 12 sealed gates, and Udinas' kid says the boy shrugged. Tiam, Kal, Solana, Ampelas, Okaros, Karosis, Sorit, Atrahal, Elath, Anthras, Kesoban, Alkled, Karatalid, Korabas, Olar, Elaine. So those are all true Elaine, I'm guessing he's naming. And I noticed the words Korabas, Solana, Tiam, and Olar. So I'm wondering if they think that Olar Ethel is a true Elaine. Or maybe she is.
If there's just another Eliant that's not Olar Ethel around.
I don't know, Olar stood up.
Olar Ethel seems really okay with stealing people's identities and taking credit for their achievements. So I wouldn't put it past her to, have stolen the name of a dragon.
You mean you don't think she's burned?
Yeah,
Olar Ethel is definitely not burned.
Nah, she knows that. And then he later says that by the mixed bloods who are gathered along the road, Draconis, Cruel, Animandaris, blah, 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 just names a bunch of powerful people. He says that the gates were sealed. We don't know anything about that, do we?
I assume it's just something that Cruel did.
Yeah, Cruel with Draconis and Animander and Osirk and Ruin and Scabandari and Sheltath Alora?
Yes. It kind of that raises a related question that I don't think we have any data on. Which came first, the Azathanai or the Elaint? Or are they just kind of like two halves of the same coin?
I don't think we'll ever get an answer to that, but we do get a kind of a, I don't know if it's a hint, but do you remember when in Midnight Tides they did their tile readings? It was chapter 1 of Midnight Tides, and like they're throwing this at you. And, like, you have no idea, and I still don't know. I've read it like 3 times. But Feather Witch is doing the tile readings, and she goes through what they believe are the construction of the holds and the empty holds. That's what I wanted to talk about, because what the hell is an empty hold, and who are the people standing in the empty hold, and why do people want this power from the empty hold, and what Yakuwadi
is the empty hold just a conception of the void?
It could be, but like, how the hell does a void have different roles?
Human mapping onto an arcane concept.
The void would work because it basically starts out with the empty void and it ends with the empty void, or empty hold, is what she says. Yeah. And then she says that the errant was responsible for creating all of the holds.
I think that is them being incorrect, though.
Yeah,
Erastus is,
but there's got to be some truth there, right?
Yes, I agree, and he probably had a big role in shaping them. But at the same time, he doesn't seem to me to be the most fundamental of the entities. Like, maybe Draconis is, honestly, because he's Knight, but...
So, listen. First would come the 3 Fulcra, known as the Realm Forgers. Fire, the Silent Scream of Light, the very swirl and the stars themselves. Then Dolmen, bleak and rootless, drifting aimless in the void and into the path of these 2 forces, the Errant. So it says that the Errant brought together Fire and Dolmen.
Olar Ethel and Draconis?
Could be. Vast fields of destruction, instance upon instance of mutual annihilation. But see, that sounds more to me like the Maybe the fire between ice and fire. Fire would
To me,
be
it
not burn.
sounds like light and dark almost.
And then he says, Aaron would then weave its mysterious skein, forging the holds himself, Ice, Alaint, Zath, Beast, and into their midst would emerge the remaining Fulcra, Axe, Knuckles, Blades, Pax, Shaped Fifter, and White Crow. So this is just nonsense, right?
I don't think it's nonsense.
Well, so when I think that he's making the holds, Ice, Alaint, Azath, and Beast, what I imagine is when he sacrificed Hood's wife, right?
That's what I thought of when you said it.
He sacrificed Hood's wife to get
A gate to darkness.
Darkness, yeah. So,
and then he fucks off. Like, I'm out of here.
oh my god! And then Hood comes and is like, "Mom, my wife is dead. Well, I guess I'll, I guess I'll go against death. That's the real culprit."
Then as the realms took shape, the spiraling would grow sharper, and the final hold would be revealed. The hold that had existed unseen at the very beginning. The empty hold, the heart of Letheri worship. It was at the very center of the vast spiral of realms. That sounds like chaos, yeah?
It's at least reminiscent of chaos.
Home to the throne that knew no king, home to the wanderer knight, and to the mistress who waited still alone in her bed of dreams. So who's the king of... Well, it has no king, so I don't know, maybe it's a dead king? Who is the wanderer knight, and who is the mistress? I have no idea.
Yeah, like the mistress might be like an burn, you know, the burn at the center of reality.
Well, maybe Featherwitch became the mistress. What are the other ones? Or maybe no. I think Erastus was trying to become the king, yeah?
Maybe.
And the mistress who waited still alone or better dreams. Oh, the mistress must be burned. Listen, the mistress who waited still alone in her bed of dreams. I mean, who else could that be other than Burn?
So it could be Burn, but we know that Burn doesn't dream the fundamental nature of reality. She just dreams the world of Wu, it seems. And she's a dog runner, so she had to have come significantly later than, you know, the empty holds. Like the empty hold must have been around for a very long time before her.
Okay. I don't think you should say she's a dog runner like we know that's for a fact. Sure. In the frame narrative of lies upon lies of Carcass, she's a dog runner.
Yes.
It's a possibility she's a dog runner. That's true.
It seems likely to me that she's a dog runner, but
yeah.
Yes.
Who even told us she's a dog runner?
What was her name? She and that dog and the old man.
Oh, it was
went into.
Okay. I didn't know if it was something.
They basically found Burn, and they're like, "Oh, he's like, we worship her, and she's a dog runner."
Okay.
Well, not that we worship her. It's just like that someone worships her, probably the dog runners, I think, right? And then at some point they damage her and heal her.
Doesn't he admit to worshiping her too, though? And she's like, "You're a denier."
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I am a denier." Like, what's to you? And I think Olar Ethra mentioned her too, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I couldn't remember if it was Olar Ethel or if it was that scene with those two. So
I think it was both, actually.
Okay.
What was that dog's name? I like that dog. So he said, home to the Wanderer Knight. Listen to this. And to the Watcher who witnessed all, and to the Walker who patrolled borders not even he could see. So the Walker's got to be Edgewalker, right?
Edgewalker, or what's the Azathanite Protector guy?
Grisen Farrell?
Him.
No, because his name's Walker, and he patrolled borders not even he could see.
Yeah, that's Edgewalker.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that's like the first time I've seen something relating to Edgewalker's real identity. I think sometime in Midnight Times it was also confirmed that he was a type of an Azathanai, so there's that.
Who is?
Edgewalker.
But Edgewalker's is never formally mentioned. I mean, the thing you just read's from Midnight Tides, right? But he's not mentioned as Edgewalker until Night of Knives.
Maybe it was Reaper's Gale,
which is in between Midnight Tides and Bonehunters.
I don't know. It was Bonehunters when he was confirmed to be an Azathanai.
Oh, okay. What do you say confirms it? That he said that he's
confirmed is a bit too strong. Exactly. They were talking about elemental forces, and they were mentioning known as Athenai, and then they said that he was also an elemental force, which I just assumed meant that he was also in Zathanai.
Or something just as old and fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that gets in the conversation of like, what actually is an Azathanai? Are they unified at all? Are they just a name that we have for these entities that are old and they actually have no relation to one another? We know that they're not linked.
does the name come from Azath, or does the Azath come from their name?
Yeah.
Right.
Very, very mysterious. I think these Athenai are like one of the best additions to Malazan, I think.
I like them.
It was very strange the way that I learned about the Azathanai, because I was like reading stuff out of order because I was like trying to wait for the podcast. So I like first hear their name in the first Path to Ascendancy book, and I was like, "What the hell's an Azathanai? Oh my god!"
Yeah.
It was like before we even read like Memories of Ice or something. It was a weird and they don't come up in the Book of the Fall until like book 10 or when.
I think it's first mentioned in the Book of the Fallen in either Dust of Dreams or that other one, the Crippled God.
Right.
I think whatever they do happen to be, it's almost strictly analogous to Tom Bombadil.
Except way more mischievous.
Tom Bombadil's mischievous in like a very constrained way, right? He set himself boundaries. I could see he's like the opposite of Grisenfarl. You know, he could be Grisenfarl's brother.
Right.
I love Tom.
Yeah.
It says, we stand upon Dolmen, broken lot, pitted by shattered kin, its surface seething with life so small it escapes our eyes. Just wonderful prose, thank you. Life locked in eternal wars, Blade and Knuckles. Any thoughts there? Blade and Knuckles are both capitalized.
Setchelath? No, what's his face?
Knuckles is Setchelath.
Yeah. But like what they mean in the context of this mythology, I have no idea.
Next is we are among the beasts, which I think of the beast hold in the dog runner / Imas.
Yeah,
I can see the bone perch. I don't know.
Like a proto Hood's realm.
Oh yeah, that could be it. I can see the bone perch slick with blood and layered with the ghost memories of countless usurpers. Maybe it's just the throne of death.
Yeah, and that leads to interesting questions. There's like, we actually don't know who was sitting on the throne of death before Hood, if there was any. Did Hood like create it for himself?
He had to, because it was actually the throne of ice that he was sitting on, and he was dead.
I took that to mean as like he abandoned the throne of ice and like betrayed the Jagat by doing so, and then claimed the realm of death for his own.
I think he co-opted. So they talked about the Jagat idea of the realm of death, right? I think he basically kind of took that idea and turned it into a realm of death for everybody. Maybe using ice powers. I don't know. But they talk about like crossing a bridge into the Jagat afterlife, and I think the Jagat afterlife is intrinsically linked to Hood's realm, or it just is, and it was created by Hood.
I guess the idea there would be he's now making a realm for people to go to when they die, as opposed to before when they were just kind of like, if you're not associated with God, you just go into like the ether, go back into chaos. Good guy, Hood.
The best guy.
He honestly one of the best characters.
I love Hood so much.
Hood is by far the best Jagat in my opinion. And
I mean, Gothos is pretty cool.
And he's cool, absolutely.
Race is pretty cool.
Raced is hilarious.
But
like none of them hold like
how it's awesome.
Yeah, no, like I like almost all the Jagat, but like to me, like in terms of like really
they're so great.
In terms of like really interesting characters, like Hood is like by far the best of, like, it's not a competition for me between them. I don't know, maybe it's because he's like also the most unhappy, and most of the Jagat are like kind of like Krupp in the sense that they don't really exist solidly within the narrative.
What I've been really enjoying going over the spoiler episodes and all of our episodes, reading with Panda and Janath, is finding all of the hints to Hood's real identity. I think it was Bonehunters or Reaper's Gale when Hedge and Quickbin are talking, and he said, "Hood's above." He's like, "Hood's above? What does that even mean?" And at that point, they're literally below the throne of ice where they found the dead Jack Hood buddy.
Oh man.
And let's see what else was. Oh, in Bonehunters, Krupp and Perron are talking, and Perron says something like, "For Hood's sake," and I think Krupp's like, "Yes, for his sake, you must come to Darujistan." Like, oh man, how did I miss this?
I really want to know how Krupp gets his information besides Krull just telling him everything, you know?
I think he gets it from Steve.
Maybe, because he is a meta-narrative character.
He's a meta-narrative character, and I think he might just be Steve's, like,
Avatar?
familiar.
Familiar makes more sense.
Maybe his priest. Maybe he's Steve's priest.
According to Baruch, he has like a great library inside of his mind.
But like, what does he use to
Sherlock
fill that
Holmes,
library, right? Yeah, he has a mind palace, which is a real technique that people really use, and I find it baffling that it actually helps anyone, but it does.
Yeah, like Baruch realizes it in Gardens at some point, and he like is like floored by it. He sees how Krupp can just pick up any of the books and open them to any page, and he's just like, "Holy crap, this guy!
He's a Gary Stew."
It's it's a weird scene that I missed like the first 4 times I read it, and then
I think he would be a Gary Stew for a character for a reader who's just like, oh man, I wish I could eat all the sweets in the world I want and like be able to control people.
What's a Gary Stew?
He's a Mary Stew, but a dude.
Mary Sue, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I always just call them Mary Sues, even when it's a dude.
And you go back and forth, but he definitely would be very frustrating if he didn't exist the way he does.
You mean if he wasn't a slob who like just sits at the bar all the time and drinks and doesn't pay his tab?
I would say that if he was more thoroughly grounded in the story, but didn't.
Yeah. If he did more than just like pissing people off and narrating.
Exactly.
He nudges people.
He nudges people all the time, yes.
But he's not like fighting Animator Rake along with...
Right.
Yeah, his most meaningful duel is... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the tile reading. Seer, who speaks to the indifferent. I had no idea. I see shaman seeking truths among the dead, and hunter who lives in the moment and thinks nothing of the consequences of slaughter.
Yeah, I don't know if that one is mapped to any specific person, but that's just like a human impulse, right?
I feel like this is pointing at somebody and I just can't grasp it. And tracker who sees the signs of the unknown and walks the endless paths of tragedy. When I hear tragedy, I think of December, but I mean...
December is way too young, right?
Exactly, yeah. Well, how old is Dassam?
Like a couple hundred, maybe?
I have no idea. He was at the last chaining, but we don't even know when that was. We just know that...
everyone was at it.
Yeah. Hello, we brought everyone here.
Did Shadowthrone and Dancer participate in the chaining?
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, also, okay, so I was wondering...
Basically, I think when they decided, hey, we gotta do this is wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
So I was wondering about that when I was listening to y'all's Deadhouse Gates spoiler episode, because you commented on how, like, I pointed out that December was Dassam, and because of the name similarity and stuff, and
yeah, well, you got that. I mean, it's right there. I think people should be able to see it.
I always assumed it was him, but one thing that I was wondering about when you guys were talking about it, because you were talking about like how old is he? Oh, he was at the last chaining. It was basically the same, like 2 minutes of footage that you just recorded again. But the thing I was wondering about is like because December is like a separate entity at the time of the crippled god, like Traveler is doing one thing and December is doing another thing.
I still don't know how that works, but yeah.
Like, was Dassam always December, or was there a December before Dassam and he kind of like took on the mantle kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like is the concept of December older than the entity Dassem Ultor.
It could be.
And then also, like, yeah, with the how old it really is Dassem Ultor, because even as far back as the story goes, we don't, for him at least, for that character, we don't really know, because the farthest back...
the passive ascendancy, he's just, hey, this lady is with me, probably my daughter, and we have no idea how old he is. He's just a really pious dude.
We go back a little farther than that. I don't want to spoil it too much for Ash, but it goes back a little further than that, but we still don't know how old he is in that sequence. Huh?
It's a spoiler episode, so you can spoil it.
Yeah, I've been spoiling everything for Ash.
Yeah.
Well, there's a sequence where we see, like, Dassem Ultor, like, leave his village and, like, go learn...
Oh, that was cool.
From somebody that's maybe Hood, or somebody sent by Hood, or
I'm pretty
somebody
sure
that's
Hood.
already dead. And it's unclear. The sequence is very, like, murky. It's unclear if Dassem is actually, like, undead after that whole training sequence and is throughout the entire series or not. There's like a weird thing that goes on with it, but when he goes back to his village, like, everybody assumes he died when he was out there, and they did.
We
Like,
don't know how long it was.
We want nothing to do with him anymore, but we have no idea how long ago that was before Paths to Ascendancy, basically. So it like doesn't give any clarity as to how old the guy is, or how old he was when it happened, right? So I think Dassem's one of the characters that Cam and Steve are just determined to, like, every answer they give us just lead to more questions about.
He sprang into life as a level 30 fighter and never looked back.
So I wonder if the Dassem December split is gonna resemble the split we see between Coltane and his worshipped entity. So the thing with Dassem is, like, people just thought he died and he didn't actually die, and they were, I don't know if they were worshipping before he died or after, but maybe the worship created this December entity that also took on the aspects of an older, maybe more primal version that they have here in the holds or something. And maybe he takes on that mantle, and then Dassem still existed, and they're kind of just linked. But maybe that's going to happen with Coltane too.
It does seem to me that, like, there is a part of the real Dassem in December, right? So,
and vice versa.
Exactly. So, like, Traveler and December are both incomplete entities, which I think probably explains a lot of why Traveler acts the way he does. But
bad boy.
He very bad boy. Why doesn't Silchus Ruin get a god associated with him? That's what I want to know.
He is a god.
Functionally, yeah.
Back to the tiles. There's no one upon Bone Perch. Chaos hones every weapon. The killing goes on. And from the maelstrom, powerful creatures arise, and the slaying reaches beyond measure. This is such a cool, like, Genesis chapter.
This is the language, like, this is so much more prevalent in Midnight Tides and Reaper's Gale, and it's a significant part of why I like them, I think.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Such powers must be answered. The errant returns and casts the seed into blood-soaked earth, thus rising the hold of the Azath. So according to Featherwitch and the Letheri religion, the errant masturbated and the Azath were born.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, but what truth is hiding in there? I don't know. We don't actually see Azath in Carcanos, yeah?
I don't think so, no. Do we?
Yeah, I don't think
so. Yeah, they're a pretty big thing in it.
Where was it?
So there's a couple. One is the one they actually visit is outside of Hood's and outside of the Tower of Hate and Hood's army's encampment. There's an Azath house there where there was a big battle between the Jag Hut and the house. And there's a what are they called? They're not called Talani Mass. Dog Runner zombie that lives inside is the Guardian. Okay, and then there's also an Azath house where we first meet Krull and the Kachane guy, Skrillex.
Skillin Dro.
Skillin Dro, yeah. They meet in the yard of an Azath house, and they like have a long discussion about like what the hell are the Azath anyway.
Right. Okay. I remember that.
It's a pretty big part of it.
I'm on the side of the Azath being like an immune response of reality to calamitous stuff.
So you don't think it's a ritual of blood and semen from the errant?
I mean, aren't we all just a ritual of blood and semen from the errant? Really, when it comes down to it.
The reason I don't believe that is because they seem to have been around for a long time before the errant did the first thing that the errant did that made him powerful. But of course, that's according to Blind Galan, right? So
no, this whole religion just reeks of errant worship. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
It is
Sure.
it is fundamentally empty, yes. Much like the soul of capitalism.
Let's see. Deadly shelter for the tyrants. Oh, they are so easily lured, and so balance is achieved. That's just what the Azath do. But it remains a grisly balance. Yes, no cessation to the wars, although they are much diminished. So that finally their cruel ways come into focus. So that's just an explanation of what the Azath does, I guess. But the tread of time is itself a prison. We are shackled with progression, and so the errant comes once more, and the ice hold rises, and with its attendant servants who journey through the realm of war against time. Walker, huntress, shaper, bear, child, and seed. And upon the throne of ice sits death.
Yep.
Howled and frost rhymed. Dealer of caring to shatter the ancient shackles of mortal life. It is a gift, but a cold one. That's awesome. Then to achieve balance once more is born the Elaint, and chaos is given flesh. And that flesh is draconic, ruled by the queen who must be slain. Well, the queen's obviously Tiam. Must be slain again and again by every child she bears. Yeah, Tiam. And her consort who loves none but himself. Any thoughts to that?
So in this, so not to the consort. I have no clue.
Okay.
But in this, the Elaint would also be like a natural immune response of reality, then, or chaos specifically. So they roughly analogous to the Azath, I suppose.
Yeah, to
like
achieve
kind of
balance
like
and
gatekeepers of reality.
chaos given flesh. Yeah. Then liege, servant, and guardian who and doomed to eternal failure. I guess we just don't know enough about dragons. Knight, the very sword of chaos itself, where his path. Maybe that's a rake.
I think so.
Maybe by ingesting the blood of Tiam, he became the knight.
Yeah, and he also safeguards until he doesn't his sword, which is like it almost ends reality, right? Because chaos almost wins.
Stay tuned for our Toll the Hounds talk tomorrow. And Gate, which is the breath. No idea. Wivel, spawn of the dragons, and Lady, the sister blood drinker, and Path Shaper, the fell dragons. Maybe Lady is Korobus.
I'm really curious. Like, we don't really get much of the Wivel after Midnight Tides.
Yeah, right? I was thinking that too.
Like a bit in Reaper's Gale, but like they're super mysterious. We know basically nothing about them.
Yep. That was basically all the tile hold. A lot of interesting what's the word? Opaqueness there.
Opacity?
There we go. So something that that reading confuses me for is it says the realm of ice is rising, but ice is kind of dealt a pretty bad hand consistently throughout Malazan. It seems to be always diminishing.
And retreating.
Exactly. Much like the shore. But at the same time, it feels to me that Hood reclaiming the realm might be a positive thing for it.
Isn't the shore gaining power as the ice?
The shore gives way to the sea, so the shore is always diminishing. If you believe
as ice melts, there's more water, which erodes the beach more.
Yeah, so the sea is what's gaining power there.
Right,
not the shore.
Good point. So are the shore and ice
analogous? Maybe. They're definitely linked. And what exactly they represent seems like a nuanced discussion. But it does seem to me that the sea and chaos are linked here as well, which is interesting because Mael is one of the nicer elder gods.
And what's that chaos ocean that was in Carcanus?
Oh,
it's also,
What was that?
it's also in the novels in the Malazan Empire. It's the Vitter.
Vitter,
That's
yeah,
it.
thank you. I don't know. Not really too interesting, but Grisenvarl was mentioned by name in Bonehunters, so that was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
don't
thought
remember
I
if
had heard his name in the Book of the Fallen, but I could not find it. So it's in Bonehunters.
I believe the first time it was Bonehunters.
And of course, he gets mentioned indirectly when we talk about the Four Cruel Assail, killing their god, right?
Yep.
Totally.
I guess I didn't catch that.
It's just a theory. There's no direct link between Grisenfarl and the Assail, but there is, if you recall, there's a scene in Carcanus where he talks about encountering the Assail. And of course, we don't see Grisenfarl in the Book of the Fallen, not by that name at least.
I always assumed that their god was Setchel.
I also think that their god was Setcheleth, or
or Kilmandros.
yeah, Commanderos. I don't think looks enough like.
She
like I
seems
said,
to be more linked to the Toblakai than the Assail to me.
Sail god, because they claim to have killed their god too. Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't
So
Setchel Lath talk about that though in Crippled God? Like, doesn't he talk about them turning on him or something? Or doesn't somebody else make a jibe at him about it? Or I forget what it is, but
I don't remember, but there's in the desert that they cross in Dust of Dreams, there's a shattered god that was killed by the Assail, I believe.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so many theorize that it's Grisenfarl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about that. That was the only thing that was making me doubt at the time. Because I was like, wait, is it Setchel or is it this thing that died in this desert? Or
Does Ruthann Good? Ruthann Good show up in Reaper's Gale at all? I forget.
I don't think so. I remember he was mentioned in.
He's just entirely an asshole.
Ruthann. I'm using Search of the Fallen here. Ruthann Good, Bonehunters, 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 Bonehunters. Yep.
Okay.
And let's look up Grisen.
I'm super curious what Panda's reaction to him is going to be. It's like, where is this guy coming from?
And what was the? Was there a link between? There's a link between him and Stonewielder, right? But it's not in Stonewielder. It's in Dust of Dreams, like him just remembering stuff about the Stonewielder guy.
Yeah. I don't. I think it mentioned in Bonehunters that he was on the wall fighting, and then I think in Bonehunters he was talking about his relationship with Greymane.
And
I thought that was Dust of Dreams.
I meant Dust of Dreams.
Yeah, and he had to have gotten the Stormrider armor, presumably from the wall, right?
He's just borrowing it.
It's a gesture of respect, I think he said, that they gave to him. Stormriders, man, super mysterious. Super mysterious.
Yeah, I haven't finished Assail yet, so I don't know if they get cleared up at all, but I remember, Stonewielder, I remember thinking, like, oh, we're finally going to learn what these guys are all about. Nope.
Them and the Moranth. Just give me more of these guys, please.
The Moranth, we get some, at least.
A little bit. Orb Scepter.
Yeah, an Orb Scepter throne, and then Memories a little bit.
Memories
a little bit.
Gardens a little bit. Like, starting up in Gardens, I thought they were going to be like a huge part of the series, and they just aren't. But their munitions are.
They're in they're part of the Navy in Stonewielder too, and I think they play a pretty big role in Return of the Crimson Guard. They're bigger in the ice books.
The gold Moranths show up, and they're like, we won the Civil War or something. I don't remember who won the Civil War, but someone won the Civil War, and the various factions of the Moranth get used and traded around. I think it's the Black in Memories of Ice, and they almost get entirely destroyed.
Yeah, and the Blues show up in at least Stonewielder, if not also Crimson Guard.
Really interesting. Please give me more Moranth, less Spargust.
Oh, you get to find out how the coalition with the Moranth is founded in Past Ascendancy.
Yeah.
And the worst of the 3 books, too. It's one of the best parts.
it still kind of feels painted over. Like, I want more.
Yeah, like, I feel like there could have been, like, 80 more pages there. And it's just so... The 3rd book is just so fast and so, like... And it's like...
It's
why?
like the exact opposite of Return of the Crimson Guard.
Yeah. But there's still some cool stuff there.
It's got some cool stuff, but I don't know.
But it should have just been like 100 pages longer.
Yeah. Or even longer.
Yeah. We just needed Hurin to be permanently installed in Canada, hovering over Cam's computer, telling him when to write less and when to write more.
Cam is in Alaska, right?
That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Far away and with bad internet.
He's a traitor.
Any ideas about the aerosol? It's in Bonehunters, Janath. So the aerosol who were lured into domestication by the hounds that adopted them. The aerosol who would one day give rise to the Imas, who would one day give rise to humans.
I think that we know everything we need to know with the aerosol, right?
Not really. We just know that they're like proto-human, proto-Imas, time traveling. Well, the aerosol is time traveling at least. Yeah. They're all bone hunters of some sort, or bone casters.
Yeah. I mean, like, what else? What else do you want to know? Like, it seems
everything.
Weren't they seafarers as well? Isn't that established at some point?
Is it?
I must have missed that.
The Barghast are.
I thought there was something. I thought there was something, at least with the aerosol's visions, that she was granting to somebody, probably Bottle, that showed that they were. It was like one of those First Empire reveals where they were like, the first Empire wasn't really the First Empire. It was whoever these seafaring people were. So
these seafarers weren't even the First Empire. They were actually these people, and they weren't even the First Empire. It was the Southern.
The First Empire is totally like the Teist, right?
It was either.
I bet it was the Jagcut.
It was either the aerosol or it was somebody else as viewed in an aerosol vision. But regardless, there was some big revelation. I forget what book, maybe 9, where the aerosol is giving Bottle visions, and he is like freaking out because he's seeing them like travel to different lands and like conquer, and he's like, "What? We weren't the first. It wasn't even the IMAS." And
Yeah, see that? There's a lot more we don't know, Ashamon. An infinite amount of things.
Yeah, this is fair. But like for the aerosol character specifically that shows up, like she feels pretty. Like it feels like we have everything we need to know about her. Right? She's a time traveler. She has unique healing capabilities, like when she heals Icarium. And this is all born of just like a different conception of reality, and yet she's like also this pretty primal creature that doesn't respect consent very well, and kind of cares for what's left of her children, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like it's her job to travel time to create people who will do things so that they will do things so that she can create them.
And just like kind of fix reality in a lot of cases, because it seems like Icarium is like he was a fundamental wound, and one that she healed at the end of Bonehunters, right?
You mean Reaper's Gale?
No. When after Trull fights Icarium, and then Quick Ben fights Icarium, and then she touches Icarium, and Icarium passes out, and we never see Icarium go into a rage again, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, his connection with Chaos was healed then, and then he starts getting his memories back. He never loses his memories in Reaper's Gale, or, I mean, like at the end when he makes the what's its faces, the coin places, the.
I know what you're talking about, but yes, the thing.
Yeah, the thing when he does the thing and he makes himself the new Cruel. He loses his memories for a bit, but he regains them because it's a different thing. And then, he ascends reality.
And then his best friend dies.
Speaking of the aerosol, did we ever figure out who her kid with Troll is in the series? Is it ever like implied or explained or?
It is, isn't it? I forget the answer, but I feel like I was thinking about it during
I think we've talked about it before, but I don't remember. I think we decided that her child with Bottle was Kettle.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was true, and if that's true, then who is it with Troll?
Let's check Google. Maybe they know. Who is Troll and Arisol's child?
I can't believe that Troll didn't tell Seren Padek that he slept with another woman before their marriage. Pretty deceitful of him.
Niflrog has an answer.
That's probably right then.
So he says the aerosol gathers DNA from two interesting subjects. One of them is Troll, the other is Bottle. We know of two possible offspring of aerosol. One is literal and the other is a bit murky. One is Kettle, the other is a Narek race.
Who are the Narek again?
They're the ones that kill Hull. Right? That's the...
Yeah, he killed Hull.
Culture.
And then the tall Narek's son in Reaper's Gale, or maybe it was Midnight Tides, he gets revenge on Garen Eberict.
Yeah, they have eater blood, don't they? I think that's established, right? And they have... Honestly,
Maybe.
Yes, I totally buy that he's the progenitor of the Narek. Because they seem to occupy kind of like a special place in the genealogy of the Letheri continent. And seem to have some special knowledge of events going on and like a special curse to them as well.
I buy it. Sure. Let's go with that.
Smart guy, Niflrog.
Thanks, Nif. Hey, Nif, you should come on our podcast sometime.
Oh, good idea.
Those, I think, are all the things I brought. Oh, last thing. The epilogue, I think, of Bonehunters was extra tasty. Because Taishan tells Shadowthrone that he should fear for his own child. And that's all we're given.
Oh, man. I don't remember this.
It was the epilogue. Bonehunters, Taishan and Shadowthrone are talking. And he's like, hey, why didn't you do anything? And he's like, yeah, I'm doing my own thing. You should not be worrying about me. You should be fearing for your own child.
Wait, whose child? Shadowthrone's child?
Yep.
I don't believe that Shadowthrone procreated.
He has many children of his mind.
Tavor, and he has the Talon.
You know, maybe Tavor is his bastard daughter. You never know.
Some people say that, but no. Like, I'm 90% certain that
it could be a metaphor, like how she's a
about,
child of the Empire.
Well, I mean, she literally says in The Crippled God, I'm a child of the Emperor.
Yeah, but isn't she being metaphorical?
Well, exactly. So is Taishan.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
I just want I want Steve to come out and give us an answer of what percentage of the crippled god being freed it can be attributed to Krupp, and what percentage can be attributed to Shadowthrone, and do they together make up about 50% or more?
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Look at the questions. It does, like, it seems to me that Hood was kind of on a different agenda to them with this. At what point was Mail involved? I don't know. Do we get any hints here? I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, since we got Janath here for the first time, are there any things that you're itching to talk or ask about since maybe about Karkanis?
He says hopefully.
You still haven't read The God Is Not Willing, right?
I have not read The God Is Not Willing or Sail or the last 1.5 Corbola Brooch and Apocalypse.
There is
Goats of Glory.
I haven't read Goats of Glory either. I'm a poser.
There's one thing in The God Is Not Willing that seems very relevant to the fundamental nature of the Malazan world, and then not really any references to Karkanis aside from that, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
I really want to start The God Is Not Willing, but I didn't know.
It's so good.
Are we gonna do?
It's very good. It's very.
If we're gonna do Nock soon, though, I should do that.
Admiral Nock.
Like, should
I'd
we
be fine
wait?
doing Admiral Nock.
Should we wait until we're done with Toll the Hounds to do Item Knives, or because didn't you already read it, Ash?
I make no
Yeah.
promises.
I just read it.
I don't even know if I could finish Toll the Hound, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, should I just read The God Is Not Willing anyway?
I don't know.
It's a really good book.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
I mean, if I can make time for it, I'll do everything I can, but.
Right. Well, yeah, like I know I could read it, but I don't know if I'll like be called upon to discuss it in 4.5 months, not remember it, but not want to reread it again yet.
Yeah.
Piranesi. Last year we were like, hey, let's do a Piranesi episode, and then like a month ago, I messaged him like, did everyone else also forget about this?
I totally did. Absolutely. Yep. This book is kind of like the last we get of the Eater, and I'm really curious as to what happens with them.
What's this book? You're talking about Reaper's Gale?
Reaper's Gale, yes. You know, the spoiler episode book.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's what we're talking about.
Even though we talked about like Midnight Tides the entire time.
Yeah, Midnight Tides and Bonehunters. Like, I don't know what to talk about from Reaper's Gale, to be honest.
Yeah, the Eater, they just like go home, right? That's what happens
pack
at
up
the
their
end.
Things, they take their ball, they go home. Probably rejoining the little colony of them that stayed behind in the first place.
Basically what they should have done at the end of Midnight Tides.
What they should have done, like, after the 50% mark of Midnight Tides, I don't know. After they dissuaded the Lothari from attacking them.
Well, after Briss was like, hey, I took care of your emperor. You guys should leave. Okay, we'll go.
Well, and the problem was that sea god guy that came in and killed Rulad.
And the heirs. Errant.
Yeah, Erastus messing everything up, of course. Because he wants more tragedy. Because he's the author, in a way. Bastard.
I don't know. Those are all my notes. Yeah,
I guess we can talk a bit about Silchus Ruin, if there's anything to say. He strikes me throughout the book as like a man in deep conflict that he's not willing to share with anybody else.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He seems very different from Carcanus to this, obviously, because he spent like thousands of years in Azath, hundreds of thousands of years in Azath. And he's trying to grapple with the world and kind of failing to see it as it has become, or like is unwilling to. And then he gets the rude awakening where he gets blown up a bit. And he doesn't do much in the rest of the series, right?
No, he has a pretty big role in Crippled God.
What's he do again?
He trains Dragon Boy. What's his name?
Who doesn't do anything.
And he meets up with the guy who first trained the Hounds of Shadow. They get into a fight with somebody after they talk it out, and he has like a talking sword. And I mean, it's not like the most major role, but there's a lot of page time committed to him.
Yeah, like he appears, but like at the end of the Midnight Tides, like he's like a calamitous event unleashed on the world, right? And for most of Reaper's Gale, he's like a really big player. He's like one of the most powerful people in Letheris, and then his importance is kind of not after that. Which is kind of similar to the Rolandros, whatever it was, the monster that's unleashed in Bonehunters and then gets murked by everything it comes across.
Rolandros, yeah.
Yeah, I see the echo there, but I don't know. I'd have to reread Crippled God to remember exactly why any of the stuff he does matters in it.
Like Rudalal, like
if not,
he's very much a character that has no impact on the plot when like at any point, right?
Is that true?
Because he's being set up to fight the dragons at the end, and then he's just told not to, and he doesn't. As I remember.
In book 10, you mean?
Yeah. And prior to that, he's like being set up as like this guardian to the refugium, but it turns out he's not needed at all.
Why is he not needed? Because of
the Emas and Quick Ben and Hedge, basically.
Okay.
They all kind of murk the dragon that come in.
But that doesn't. I mean, the Emas none of them would have been there if it wasn't for him. in the first place, right? Didn't he
Like,
lead
I
the
guess, but,
IMAS
like,
there?
he's not the one doing it. He's just kind of like a lodestone. And like obviously, like when Menandor wants to make a baby, she rapes Udinaz, and that has a huge impact on his characters. Like his presence affects the story, but he doesn't. He himself does not do anything.
Not on page. Arguably, he did. He was like the leader of the UMass for a while, wasn't he? He was like really important to them.
He was important to them, but like those EMAS aren't the important ones. They're kind of just living their lives, having like hunting their animals, getting saved by other people.
Yeah.
All this Silchest Ruin talk reminds me of Scabandari Bloodeye.
Oh, now there is a character that's set up to be important and then isn't.
Well, yeah, that's true. A lot of importance and meaning is placed upon him, and then like we don't ever actually meet him. We just
Yeah, he gets the prologue in Midnight Tides, and he seems like an entirely one-dimensional villain there. And there's like a hint that like maybe Fear is gonna find him and redeem the Eater, and I think that Fear kind of does, but obviously Skibandari is not any part of that.
and he's
His soul just kind of gets consumed.
Isn't he Kettle? Isn't he in Kettle at the time?
Isn't
he in Kettle at the time or something? Wasn't he like wasn't his Finest in Kettle, or his Finest was
the Finest was whatever was keeping the Refugium running, right? And then Kettle had the seed of the Azath. Right,
Kettle replaces Kettle fuels the Azath, right? Which then becomes is like stabilizes
the anchor,
Refugium,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So at some point in Midnight Tides, Kettle gets infused with the soul or the seed of the Azath, and then is just kind of carrying it, and then explodes when it when it needs to come out, and is super sad the entire time because she knows she's gonna die.
Yeah. So come Book of the Fallen Times, everyone hates Scapandari except for the Aether, and they blame him for everything. And they said he's responsible for the rift between light and shadow, or between shadow and dark, and light and shadow.
And shadow.
But in Karkanos, he doesn't seem too bad of a guy. So I'm wondering if they're blaming.
Yeah, in Karkanos, doesn't he just like not want to fight?
Yeah, he's like, hey, don't rape people, don't murder them.
But also,
he seems pretty sympathetic.
No, I want to do that.
But then, but then after that, he like also refuses to follow Ruin, right?
Well, they do a coalition. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Karkanos. Yeah.
Right. Like at first he he rejects the Legion and as is proper, right? Because it's the Legion between light and dark.
And they start becoming shadow. But then is that what is him not choosing to follow either really what causes the rift, or is the rift there? I don't know. I think they're blaming him for a lot of things that he didn't actually do.
That he doesn't do. He's not really that bad of a guy. He's just like, yeah, I don't want to like go along with these crimes, but I'm also not gonna like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Follow you either.
I don't know if all these bad things are being attributed to him because of these reasons that we already know, or if there's actually more to come. You know.
I think the prologue of Midnight Tides and Reaper's Gale take place before the crippled god is brought down, right?
Yeah.
So, it's very ambiguous as to what extent we can even trust them, because, like, where is not Kellanved. What's his face? Kaminsod. To what extent can we trust Kaminsod's recollection of these events? Because he wasn't actually there. Like, how does he have any information about them at all? Maybe he was talking to Silchest Ruin when he was in the Azath house. But
that's how he gets all his information. Like, how's he? So the Book of the Fallen has to be like something that he's just the editor of instead of the author.
And he like sometimes makes authorial inserts. Like he goes around like a reporter interviewing all of the major characters.
Yeah, that's exactly how I think it happened. Or he just makes up details. Like I think if you look at Total Hounds, every time that he's obviously making up a lot of the details. Because if you look at Total Hounds, which is the cipher of the series, and we look at Krupp's narration, Like, there's absolutely no way that he could know like most of what he's narrating, right? So he has to make up stuff.
I guess for a
dramatic
lot of the
effect.
information, he could just be talking to Cruel because Cruel was there at almost everything, and Cruel is who made the Warrens, so like he has access to all that information when people use it.
Mm.
So like a really long heart-to-heart chat there. But obviously, there is no way that he could have information from Skibandari, and unless he was talking to Silchus Ruin, then he wouldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't have Skabandari's perspective, I think. Right.
Good point. Maybe he talked to Blind Gallon.
Who knows all? Yes. Blind Gallon, just better fisher in my opinion. You know, he's Theist, he's blind, which is cool, and he's kind of like Homer. And he's the one that's doing Karkanis, which is very impressive.
Okay.
Apparently, just on the spot too.
Homer wasn't actually blind.
Okay, well, we don't even know if Homer was a person.
Okay. You're saying you can't just cite one source from years after Homer was around. And
Homer may or may not have been blind. We don't know, but he is sometimes
likely
thought
wasn't
blind.
That's very true.
Yes, but I think the odds are very high that Steve was inspired by the story of a blind Homer when he was coming up with Blind Gallon.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Also, what's with all these Thais just blinding themselves?
Oh, they're just too cool. I love the Theist. I love the Theist more every time I read them. They're very understated, but there's just so much. There's so much there, I think.
I wonder if the that can be something that we pay attention to when we read Toll the Hounds and then talk about it in the next spoiler episode. So I think a preview of what we should talk about next time is like how the memories or supposed memories or whatever you want to call it of the stuff that went down in Karkanis and with Mother Dark in Toll the Hounds, like whether and when it conflicts with Karkanis or like is some of the
that's
stuff
like 90% of our conversations here.
Is some of that stuff like after Karkanis? Oh, okay.
When I've been reading Toll the Hounds, I've been just like, wow, this doesn't line up with Karkanis at all, right? Like it seems like there's no way that these two things could both be true, and there needs to be significant alterations to one or both of the stories to make it fit with each other, and it's probably both stories are incorrect because at this point everybody is hundreds of thousands of years removed from the event, and they're all going to have different stories that they've been telling themselves about it. I don't think anyone remembers it.
Right? And I was wondering, like, because the Mother Dark that we see in Toll the Hounds is like the one that we see in the flashbacks. I mean, it's like totally different from the Mother Dark we see in Karkanis, and not only that, but like at the point that we're at in Karkanis so far, the blood of TM hasn't been. Yeah. So like that stuff hasn't happened yet. Some of it, and
it's gonna happen in Fall Alive.
It may line up more.
I mean, Walk in Shadow.
Yeah. It may line up more as it goes. You know, because the characters could move more towards the Toll the Hounds version of the story, or not. You know,
isn't there a fourth book coming out in this series as well?
He was talking about maybe doing that.
Yeah.
He said he might have to just split Walk in Shadow in half.
Yeah.
It's like it's still like a trilogy, but for publishers' sake, make them.
Yeah, partially because of a lot of Calor stuff, right?
A lot of it's gonna have to do with Calor.
Dude, just give me a whole book about. Give me a whole book about Calor.
I want a book about the First Empire.
What's that?
Which First Empire? Calor is such an interesting character, and also what First Empire, Huron?
I'm talking about the one of Disabilicus. And I think he also mentioned that maybe he would have to do a quadrilogy for or tetralogy for Rant. I mean Karsa.
Yeah, Witness.
Witness.
Yeah. Which would make. I think tetralogy would make more sense personally.
Didn't he say that Karsa's not going to be in book 2 either?
Yeah, he's not going to, because they're going to 7 cities, and Karsa's not in 7 cities. That's the thing. It should go Genabacchus, 7 cities, Lethrus, and then finally they meet Karsa. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
And Karsa's like, this is all dumb, and walks off to primordial chaos to make another reality.
I think I just need to read Goddess Not Willing so I don't hear spoilers for
Oh, yeah, I mean, it takes place in Genabacchus, but that's
not really much spoilers.
Yeah.
Main character is Karsa's son.
Well, one of the main characters, yeah.
Well, I'd say the main character, though.
Yeah, I suppose. No, the main character is what's-her-face, the super cool, probably autistic woman, right?
No.
She's just the best. I feel so bad that I can never remember her name, but
Stillwater.
Yes, Stillwater. Oh, Stillwater.
What should we call it?
Sure.
I think we probably should. Yeah.
Do you have any lingering questions that you were just really confused about that we probably also can't answer, Janath?
Probably. I don't know what they are. I'll try to think of them for next time.
Oh,
I need to reread book 4 and 5 too.
Yeah. I guess I did want to talk a bit about Tehol and his installation as Supreme Philosopher King, backed by a deity, via unscrupulous means, shall we say. There's a really interesting tension there.
I think there's probably a better talk for Dust of Dreams, yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's not like relating to the lore of the entire thing.
It has nothing to do with Carcanis. Absolutely.
Oh, it's just something that I think would be better for a regular episode because we don't need to worry about spoilers. Yeah?
Maybe. I'm really curious as to where the state of Lethrus, as of the time of the Goddess Not Willing, but
that's why book 3 needs to be in Lethrus.
That I agree. Actually, you've convinced me totally.
Now you just gotta convince Steve.
Just gotta convince Steve, and also, what god would they be not worshiping or worshiping, but maybe Tehol himself? Honestly,
what we need to do is just get Niflrog to say it. Maybe he already has, and I'm just parroting his what he said. And then Steve would be like, "Oh, Niflrog's right. Okay."
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
All right, everybody. That's our spoiler episode for Reaper's Gale. Hope you enjoyed all the topical conversations here. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming on here in Janath.
Bye.
See ya.